Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Watching the Boxes Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Mike Catron, and joining me, as always, is my co host, Tyler Watts. What's up, Tyler?
Oh, Michael, it is a new year. It is a new day. Fantasy basketball is finally hitting its crazy time where all we talk about is trades and who is going to get benched because that team is no longer competing. It's a great time.
Yeah, we are back in the thick of things after a extended holiday break. So we hope all you listeners had a great Christmas and New Year's out there. And man, this is kind of the critical point in your season, in any season really. We are approaching a always kind of a shift after the new year. You see players who are hot fall off. You see players who weren't playing well or come out of nowhere to play real hot in the next couple months. And like you said, the trade deadline is looming. And things were interesting last offseason. There was a ton of trades. And I actually think this trade deadline will follow suit.
I won't be surprised. I mean, I think that why would a team who's out of it keep veteran players who aren't going to be part of their next team when they could get picks and try to get better. I mean, I think the Sixers kind of opened up that continental divide, and we're going to keep seeing it happen.
Yeah, and man, there's some tanking teams that need to be tanking a lot harder, especially those Chicago Bulls if they want to get one of these great draft picks in what is looking to be even a more historic draft than last year. So I actually think we're going to see a lot of personnel changing over the, before the trade deadline or right around the trade deadline is more likely. And people out there, you need to be ready to take action when opportunity arises. So we're going to try to make sure we cover any major moves, transactions that are happening out in the NBA, try to give you some of those quick reactions that we've done in the past. First, though, I wanted to reiterate to everybody out there, we are still brought to you by hashtagbasketball.com and draft.com, where if you sign up for draft.com right now using the promo code BOXES, you will get a free first entry into a game. Draft.com is a new way to do fantasy. In my opinion, it's a better way to do fantasy. You do a snake draft at the beginning of the day for all the players who happen to be playing that night. You're not going to tie with anyone. You're not going to have to find some random dude at the bottom of someone's roster who might or might not play, who's only worth $500 or whatever. You do a snake draft. It's over in about 5 minutes. And if you're good at fantasy basketball, I think you're going to be good at draft.com. Go check it out. Use the promo code BOXES.
Did you see that they're starting football already again?
They are.
Yes, they're starting best ball leagues in football like today. I think was the first day. And so if you're a huge fantasy football fan and you just can't wait and you still have like 8 months before a new season starts, but it's best ball. So you pick 18 people and then only 8 people play on your team. And each week it picks the person with the highest score already. So like there's no work to do. There's no lineup moves. There's no pickups. There's no anything. Basically you draft the team and then they play your best lineup each week.
Hey, that's a good. I'm gonna have to check that feature out. I have not used that one. I usually I keep to my my basketball corner over here because I at least think I know what I'm doing in the basketball corner.
I don't know if they have season-long basketball, but yeah, this is a season-long football thing. I don't know if it's something they're trying new. I'm not that familiar with the football in this either, but I got the word today that is a thing.
Well, everybody go check that out. Draft.com. Use the promo code BOXES. That'd be great. Let's let's take a quick update on the listener league. Kind of the cream of the crop is starting to rise here. We have 5 teams who are above 500. Licensed to Lillard, myself in 4th place, LeBron's hairline in 3rd, the Sloan Ranger in 2nd. Tyler, sadly, you have taken the lead. And you're starting to move a little bit ahead of the pack. So props to Tyler, who's not had too many injuries to deal with like I have this season. I'm going to blame the injuries, of course.
Mike, I mean, you're slowly slipping out of contention here. One more week and you're going to be out of the playoffs.
No, it was just it was a slight reconfigure. I'm built for the long term here. I'm dealing with a Vujovic injury, which has pretty much devastated all the owners of Vujovic, who's been an incredible asset. And but I got Zach LaVine sitting on my IL right now, and he'll be back soon, and he might lead the Bulls to a championship because the Chicago Bulls are the hottest team in the NBA right now. So just adding another piece could in a weak Eastern Conference, I don't know, could be a championship team.
If the Bulls make the playoffs, that'll be a sad state of affairs in the NBA.
I will be very, very upset if the Chicago Bulls are sniffing the playoffs, but I do think it is hilarious that they were the worst team in basketball and then suddenly they were the best team in basketball. Another typical who the hell knows what's going on with this team Bull season. It's been like that for the last feels like decade.
Mike, when are you going to give up on the Bulls? I mean,
never, not ever. It's in my blood.
I feel like though that they're like in a really bad spot in the sense that, I mean, other than like maybe Chris Dunn, who does good things for fantasy, but doesn't seem like a great NBA player.
I would actually disagree with that. Chris Dunn has been fairly impressive. Let's actually talk about Chris Dunn in a fantasy perspective. He's been an absolute must-own.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's great. And, I mean, we all poked a little fun at Mark Roberts for ranking him like 60th in his rankings at the beginning of the season, but that may not be that wrong just because he provides some great defensive stats.
Yeah, that is one of those things where we did take Mark Roberts to task a little bit on a few of those players, but really overall, if you go look at those rankings, they really do reflect a very good. They're reflecting what you think is going to happen for the entire season. We're a little over a third of the way through the season, and so far it's been a pretty good representation. The where he's been off and on still well within the means of deviation to get back near his projections. So I've been very impressed with those projections, and I'm glad I used them in doing a lot of my rankings this year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Mark's got a lot of experience in this, and they always seem to work out well. And sometimes I'll take him to task on a player, and then it usually turns out that he even is more right than I am about it. So he just really knows what he's talking about.
Absolutely. You can check those continued rankings over on #basketball.com. But, yeah, I think there's a couple players who really I think people were down on or people weren't really into, like Chris Dunn, who have become must-own players. And they're really in Yahoo right now. Chris Dunn only owned in 76% of leagues. So, I mean, that's a good amount of leagues, but quite frankly, it should be a lot higher than that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Same with someone like Dario Saric. One of our players that we said, hey, people are going to be down on him, but really, where's he going to go? Sure, his minutes might be a little down, but he's going to lead that second team, and that seems to be the role he's finally settling into here with Philadelphia. And now you got the more questionable injury synopsis. You don't know how healthy Joel Embiid is going to be for the rest of the year. Now you got that looming in the background. Dario Saric is someone not only should be owned, but I'd be targeting in trades. Now, granted, he's been playing really well right now, so it's probably a buy high time for Dario Saric, but I'm targeting him because with Embiid, if Embiid goes out for the rest of the season, he's going to be incredibly valuable.
And now this is not to disparage Embiid because, I mean, he's a great player to watch, but we're seeing all those little things kind of mount up again, right? Like, okay, maybe he hasn't had the one big thing that keeps him out for the season yet, but, I mean, he's got this hand injury now. He had that back injury last week. It's like he just keeps missing a couple games here and a couple games here and a couple games here. And then he plays a couple games and he misses a couple games and he plays a couple games. And it's just really hard to see him being consistently healthy for the rest of the season. And Dario's doing well even when Joel Embiid's in the lineup. So when he's out of the lineup and he gets even more touches, he's just a really fantasy-friendly player. And I think that he's going to get the minutes, and the minutes are going to equal production for him.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I do not know why Dario Saric is not owned in more leagues around the league. I'm very surprised by that. But let's talk about some of the, I guess, breaking, maybe not so breaking news, but some of the news out there that's happening right now. James Harden, sadly, looks like he's going to be out 2 to 6 weeks. It's kind of a long time frame, and when I heard he was going to be reevaluated in a couple weeks, I was like, oh, okay, that doesn't sound too bad. 2 to 6 weeks, not I'm not too pleased with that wide of a variety of how long he can miss. What is your take on this injury?
Oh, I mean, I think that hamstrings are always tricky, and most of the time you want to kind of err on the side of caution, just in the sense that they're really easy to re-aggravate, and usually when you re-aggravate, you miss significantly more time than you missed the first time. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him miss 3, 4, 5 weeks here.
And I don't think the Rockets are in much danger of falling out of playoff contention when with James Harden out. I know he's obviously carrying the entire, well, maybe not carrying the entire team, but he is probably leading or second in MVP voting right now, and that's going to hurt the Rockets. But I would much rather have Harden healthy for the playoffs versus back early so they can win a handful of more games.
If you're a Chris Paul owner, you might be kind of happy about this, just in the sense that Chris Paul takes over the kind of James Harden thing where, I mean, if you watch that Lakers game the other night when James Harden went out in the fourth quarter, like in both overtimes, Chris Paul just dominating the ball, dribbling around, shooting when he wants, passing when he wants. I think that he could really cement his kind of top 10 play that we normally see from him over this stretch.
Yeah, this is, I mean, if you can grab Chris Paul from someone right now, do it immediately. I doubt that's going to happen, but you're going to see vintage Chris Paul. You're going to see someone taking over the team. You're going to really see him play heavy, extended minutes. And as long as he's healthy, which he is also coming back from kind of a sore leg, I could see his value skyrocketing. Also a great time to sell high on Chris Paul. Fantastic time. I would milk the weeks, though. So some people go, all right, he's going to be great. I better sell high on him right now. No. You milk these weeks from Chris Paul because you're going to be seeing double-doubles, I would assume, for the next 3 to maybe even month. And then I would move Chris Paul. Get as much value as you can out of him because you're about to reap the benefits of owning Chris Paul.
Oh, no doubt. And I mean, there's always kind of a fine line there depending on your league of when you can sell him for an absolute king's ransom and the amount of production you can get from him. You obviously want to get as much production from him as you can, and then you want to sell him for his absolute highest price you can. So it's kind of a fine line, but it's definitely an option.
Yeah. There's been a lot of injuries actually over the really, really sad injuries over the break. Oladipo currently out. Have you seen anything out of Indianapolis with Oladipo out?
This is one of those weird ones where he's missed the last 4 games and they're not saying anything. And we saw this with Embiid last year when we see this every once in a while. It's like each game comes and they just say, Oladipo's out. And then like it winds up weeks later, we find out that he had this really bad injury. And I'm not saying that's Oladipo's case, but it's kind of trending that way. Missed 4 straight, doesn't really look super close to returning. We're looking for any shred of information we can find at this point.
Yeah, I haven't seen much. I haven't heard any word that he's even, practicing or anything like that.
Well, And it's a bullcrap sore right knee.
Yeah. I have a sore
That's
right
not
knee.
anything. Yeah.
I might or might not have had too many drinks over New Year's and taken a tumble, and I currently have a sore right knee. So I could be out. I could have said, "Oh, sorry, we don't do any podcasts because of this sore right knee." That's bogus.
Yeah, and he's already been rolled out for tomorrow's game a good, actually a little bit more than 24 hours in advance of it. And so, I mean, every time they rule the person out a whole day in advance, like when the coach gives his press conference the day before, you always got to think he's not really that close to returning. Like he's probably going to miss at least the next week. So I wouldn't expect him back in the relative near term. And if you can sell him for the value he's been producing, like a top 20 player, a top 30 player, I might entertain that just because, I mean, it's kind of a really uncertain situation at this point.
Yeah, you don't know if this is something that's going to linger or, here in 2 weeks he'll be back and doing the same exact thing he's been doing all year, which is providing top, 15, top 10 value, really.
And, I mean, let's not forget things like this Seth Curry injury. I mean, we're still waiting for guys like Seth Curry to come back, right? Like some of these teams are just really, I mean, I don't know what the word you want to use is, deceitful, shady, whatever. They tell you, oh, well, we'll evaluate him next week. Oh, next week. And then the guy just never comes back. I mean, we don't really know. There's no way to tell.
Yeah, we could honestly maybe never see Victor Oladipo again. I'm not going to put money on that outcome, but this is one of those situations that we've talked about in the past. Are you risk adverse, or do you need to take a risk to move up in the standings? Right now, if you need to take a risk to move up in the standings and you don't have Oladipo, trade for him. Maybe the owner thinks this is a serious injury than more, and maybe than it is, and then you get him for a decent value, and then you have Oladipo on your team, and you start moving up the standings. Vice versa, you got Oladipo on your team, and you're in the lower part of the standings. Hey, now's the time to take a risk with moving him and try to get back some more players to boost your statistics. You got to be willing to take on risk if you are not in the top half of your league.
And let's add this too, like no player in team should be untouchable. Like there is a price to pay for every single player.
Yes.
Now, that's not to say, I'm going to trade Chris Paul for, I don't know, Evan Fournier, but there is a price you could pay me no matter what your team looks like, where I would be like, well, I think I'll take that over Chris Paul. And so, I mean, like, I'll start trade discussions with some people, and they're like, oh, this guy's completely off the table. And I'm like, I don't understand. So if I gave you James Harden or my best player, whoever my best player is, you would not give me back that player? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Everyone is tradable, no matter, even in perfect circumstances. Even the healthy LeBron James is tradable right now. Now, you better get something really nice back for him, but he certainly is tradable. And actually, let's talk about LeBron James, because not breaking news. I guess everybody saw this coming if you actually have a Twitter account. But the return of Isaiah Thomas on a minutes restriction, probably for the next few weeks or so. But he did play 20 minutes. Isaiah Thomas did. Played 20 minutes, 6 for 12, hitting 3 3-pointers, had 3 assists and 17 points. Looks like Isaiah is going to run and gun while he's in the game. Is this something a lot of people are going to – I think the initial reaction is going to be, LeBron James touches are going to go down. This is going to hurt LeBron James' value. I better sell at LeBron's peak, which is right now. Do you believe that?
How many shots a game did Kyrie Irving take last year, Michael?
A game? 71.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 20s, in the 20s. I mean, I don't really see how this is any different. I mean, I think Isaiah Thomas is going to get touches, but LeBron's going to get his. And hey, listen, if LeBron gets a little bit less usage, that may be the best thing for him. I mean, he's 33 years old now. Just had his birthday last week, right? And I mean, he's playing fantastically, but these, father time catches up with everybody. A 35-year-old Kobe tore his Achilles. And why did he tear it? I'm not going to blame Mike D'Antoni, but it was because he was playing 40 minutes probably every single night, and every attempt had to go through him, whether he shot it or passed it. So, I mean, as he gets older, I think they want guys who are going to take the ball out of his hands a little bit, and everyone's going to win because he's going to be healthy then.
Listen, I am a well-documented LeBron hater, but LeBron is one of the smartest guys in the game and probably to ever really play the game. And he is never thinking about, all right, I'm going to kill everyone and win every single game and play like a lunatic every single night. He has been in this league long enough where he knows there is one goal, and that is getting a ring. With Isaiah out, he knew he had to carry this team. He knew he had to dictate how this team came across, and he has been doing that. Last season, he played 37 minutes a night, almost 38. This season, he's playing 37 minutes a night. No big switch there. With Isaiah come in, like you said, he probably will say, hey, we got to get Isaiah into the flow of these things if we're actually going to make a run for the championship. And he's probably going to let Isaiah figure out his role on this team. And I actually do see that usage going down, but this is the difference you're talking about. And it's not a significant difference, right? But here's the difference you're going to see between last year and this year. This year with LeBron running everything without Kyrie, and last year with Kyrie. This year, 27 points a game. Last year, 26. Almost 2 threes a game. Last year, 1.7 instead of 1.9. Last year, more rebounds by 0.6. Right around 8. 8.5 last year. 9 assists this year. 8.7 assists last year. Now, this is what's been more the kind of an impressive jump for, I think, LeBron. 1.6 steals and a block this year. Last year, a half a block, 1.2 steals. That's it. Those are your only differences. Are you really thinking that having, let's say, one less assist and I guess a steal less for the rest of the year is going to affect the value that you get game in and game out from LeBron? And the answer is no. It's just no.
And we may see a couple games where he rests, and we could see some, I don't know what you want to call it, coasting. But, I mean, he's LeBron James. I mean, he's going to be one of the top 10 players in fantasy. It's just going to happen.
Yeah. Now, we said every player is tradable, and LeBron is tradable. But this is not I got to get rid of LeBron at his peak. His peak is now, and the plateau below him is not very far down from the peak. Like, the rest of the year, he's still going to be an amazing fantasy basketball player where you are getting close to a triple-double every night.
Oh, no doubt.
Why make a move unless you're going to get something similar back?
Oh, no doubt about that. What's interesting, though, is kind of some of the quotes Isaiah had after this game that are worrisome. He's not going to play against the Celtics, which that one kind of surprised me. I kind of figured he'd play against the Celtics and
that is interesting.
Against the Trailblazers tonight, because he's out back-to-back still, and we see that a lot, so that's nothing uncommon. But here's a quote from Isaiah Thomas. My hip is better, but I have no rhythm. I've been out for so long, it feels like I lost my powers. So he could be dealing with a little bit of a confidence issue. It didn't really show itself in tonight's game, but I mean, that's something to monitor going forward, because I mean, all these guys are such skilled athletes that confidence plays a big role in them being great. And so he's scheduled to start on Saturday. They've already announced that this was going to be the one game he played in where he wasn't going to start. So it'll be interesting to monitor that situation. And he did some like really historic things last year that I just didn't think were sustainable anyways. And we talked about this a lot in the preseason. He's really the interesting one to me, and kind of what that stat line looks like at the end of the season.
Yeah, even if he was healthy going into this season, I think both of us were kind of like, he's getting older, and sure, he could probably do some of the stuff he did last season, but I don't think he's ever going to get back to that peak. I mean, he was out of his mind, almost historically, not just for Isaiah Thomas, but for basketball players. Coming off this injury, he's not going to reach that peak.
Well, the crazy thing to me was he shot 46.3%, and the 2 years before that, he was like in the 42s, and he shot, 90% from the free throw line, and he had never shot 90% from the free throw line. It was just like, and he was taking significantly more attempts than he'd ever taken before. It was like everything just kind of came together in one package, and it just didn't seem very repeatable.
If you currently own Isaiah Thomas, though, what's the move here? You can't really gauge who he's going to be this year after one game, obviously. You've already invested this much time into owning him, and this certainly isn't a sell high moment. Are you
you're in the boat.
Sell high moment, or yeah, what are you going to do with him for the rest of the year?
You're in the boat right now.
Yeah.
And at least for the next couple of weeks, you're just in the boat. You got to own him. I have no problem activating him for the not tomorrow's game because he's not going to play. If you didn't activate him tonight, I wouldn't activate him until they play again on Saturday. But I mean, you basically just got to ride with what you got, and if they stay still on a minutes limit and you're in like a roto league or a league with strict games limits, I have no problem with you not playing Isaiah Thomas if you think you have better options, especially in a shallow league. But, I mean, you're in there until he gets back to playing 30 whatever minutes he's going to play, probably 32. And he has a couple big games. And then if you want to sell high, I have no problem with that, especially if you can get someone to buy based on last year's value. If you can do that, then great. Yeah, sell. But
is there a Boston homer in your league? Is there a closet Kings fan in your league? Those might be guys to target. If someone thinks Isaiah Thomas is going to be as good as he was last year, especially, I mean, let's say he played 19 minutes, scored 17 points. That isn't a bad start. So why not? Why not float him out there? See if you can get any bites.
Yeah, I mean, if you can sell him for, I mean, okay, here's a question. Like, in the grand scheme of things, from today forward, so we'll just wipe out everything that's already happened. On a per game basis, Isaiah Thomas is a what player? Like top 30, top 20, top 40, top 60? I mean,
let's see. Let's do who's going to finish higher from today into the year, ranking wise. I'm going to throw out some names for you. Kimball Walker.
Now that's a good one. I'm going to probably go with Kimball Walker.
I think I'm going to go with Kimball Walker, but these are numbers that are definitely reachable by Isaiah Thomas. Let's say once he's playing starters minutes every night. Kimball Walker's currently averaging 21 points, 5.5 assists, and 3.4 rebounds and a steal. Isaiah Thomas could do that. If healthy.
Isaiah Thomas could do even a little better than that, maybe. But you also have to endure the 2 weeks here of him not playing that full workload. Plus, I just feel a little safer with Kemba Walker in the sense that this hip injury that he had is supposed to be kind of nasty and can have some long-term knock-on effects. And maybe they don't manifest themselves this year, but maybe they do again. I mean, you never really know.
Yeah, I'm with you with picking Kemba Walker if I had to take one for the rest of the year. I'm saying that IT's ceiling for this year is above current Kemba Walker.
Fact.
Here's another guy I'm going to throw out there. Would you rather have Tyreek Evans for the rest of the year?
Oh, no, I feel way worse about his injury history than Isaiah Thomas. I'll much rather have Isaiah Thomas.
Wow. I think it's a little bit closer, probably a little bit more apropos to they're both kind of, we don't know about either one of them, how they're going to finish this year, how long they're going to be healthy, or when they're going to be, if Isaiah Thomas is going to be fully healthy within the month, if Tyreek Evans will last another month.
The last 2 years, 25 and then 40 games for Mr. Tyreek Evans. He's played 36 already.
I've always had a thing for Tyreek Evans. I've always been
He's great, and he's gotten me so many
Fantasy
times too
fan of
because
him. Yeah.
the production is always there, right? And you're always like, oh man, if this guy just played more minutes, or if he could just stay healthy, and then
Yeah, it never works out. This year, the opportunity arose. He's working out. He's out there. He's hitting it.
oh, he's playing great. He's a guy though that 47% that he's shooting, you gotta feel like that does not last.
Pretty high.
And the 80% from the free throw line probably doesn't last either. So, and he's really never been a great 3-point shooter, and he's shooting 42.6% from three this season. So that maybe doesn't last.
Sell high alert, everyone. If you didn't pick that up, Tyler was landing on real thick. That's a sell high alert. Tyreek Evans.
Yeah. And I'm even willing to, he's the kind of guy I'm even willing to move for I won't say significantly less, but a little bit less value than what he's producing, right? Like, I mean, I'm not going to say I have to sell him for 100 cents on the dollar for the value he's producing today, right? I'll sell him for 85 cents on the dollar on that, because that's basically what I think his best case scenario is he produces the rest of the season. Like, he's playing out of his mind. There's no way he's going to produce 100% of the value. His best case scenario is probably like 85, 90% of what he's doing right now.
Yeah, and when is Mike Conley due to return? Pretty soon, right?
Michael, you've gone down the rabbit hole of another crazy injury that we don't know anything about.
Another. Oh yeah, it's next week. Don't worry, everybody. Oh, not this week. Still injured.
Here was the update from the great coach, making strides toward a Grizzlies return. Still no timetable yet.
Making strides is probably my least favorite thing to hear.
So I honestly, I don't even know what that means. That's not even that was a sentence where you gave no information. He is not getting worse, but he is getting better. But he is not going to be playing anytime soon. That's what I take from that. So yeah, I mean, Mike Conley is another one where only the good Lord knows.
Man, just a very injury-plagued season. It feels like this season more than most. Seen a lot of pretty good to decent fantasy players get hit with the injury bug.
Oh, I'm with you there, and that seems like a lot of them have been ones where you're just like, what injury is this? Like, I almost feel better. I won't say feel better, but like it's easier to know when they say, okay, he's got this knee injury, he's out 4 to 6 weeks. He's got
Vujovic has a fractured hand. Great.
Yeah.
Not great, but when he's healed, he'll be back.
Right, and that's what I mean. And then there's like these injuries like Mike Conley with his Achilles and in the bunch we've mentioned today where it's just like no one knows. No one has any idea. Like Victor Oladipo, sore knee. I don't know what that means, man. Is something in there torn? Is it swelling up? Like, give me some information. Nothing.
Yeah. And how is Kawhi doing? He's been sitting out the occasional game. I know that was on track. He looks when he plays. Hey, he looks pretty good. But is he still sitting out just simply for precautionary reasons, or is this still bothering him, and is it going to bother him for the rest of the season? So a lot of these just very big question marks that we just don't know about.
That he ramped it up to 31 tonight.
Yeah.
First time he's played over 30 minutes.
He
has looked really good. I think most of it is just we're trying to ease him back in there, and we're the Spurs.
We don't care.
We're a little more cautious than anyone and everyone. And look at some of the teams they sat him out against. Like they set him out against the Kings. Like they probably figured they were going to beat the Kings without him. I mean, like, not to disparage the Kings, but that's just the way it goes. Kawhi's is a tendonitis injury, though, I believe. That they did announce that at some point. So that usually only gets worse. You know what I mean? Or flares up, whatever you want to call it. So
you could see a return of that later, and he'll miss a week or two.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a little bit scary, and we're talking about some of these guys rising up a little bit and playing great basketball. When we look at next year's top 10, now in a roto league, it's a little bit different. Kawhi probably be top 10, but in head-to-head, an injury like that could be something that pushes Kawhi to, number 8, number 9, number 10, number 11 with some of this influx of talent we've seen in the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give credit to guys like DeMarcus Cousins, and you know what? Throw a big shout out to a resurgence from a slow start from Jimmy Butler, cracking into that top 10. So dudes like that might be sneaking their way past Kawhi Leonard next year in a head-to-head league.
Yeah, but we're a long way off from that. But that's just the thought I've been thinking about a little bit, just a little.
We are a little ways away from doing our rankings for next year. But yeah, I think all these things are going to have to go into play, and we're going to have to see, way back to the original topic after this long tangent. We're just going to have to see how Isaiah Thomas gets through this. But I'm with you. I think he's maybe maybe he's in the top 50. Maybe he's not for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and so if you can sell him for a guy you feel pretty sure about, be that anybody, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the move I like to make when there's a lot of uncertainty, is maybe I can sell him for, I don't know, Chris Middleton.
Ooh,
I probably feel a little bit safer about Chris Middleton than I do about Isaiah Thomas.
Chris Middleton, always underrated.
Right? And maybe you shoot the moon and you go for, here's a guy who's been playing some really great basketball, was hurt for a little bit, came back and is playing some really great basketball. Devin Booker. Isn't he doing a lot of Isaiah Thomas-y type things this year? Now, obviously, the field goal percentage is probably not going to be, it's probably going to be the old Isaiah Thomas, the 42%, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I just feel a little more safe about Devin Booker. That's another guy where I'd probably say I'd rather have Devin Booker than Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, I've been a fan of how Devin Booker has looked, taking kind of a miniature leap, I feel, this year, even though he has missed a few games, has really started filling up some of those intangibles, kind of like Bradley Beal started to. Bradley Beal seemed to be just a one-trick pony, and he ended up adding some assists, adding some steals to his game. And Devin Booker, so young, looks like he is going to not only do that, but be someone very, very good in the future.
Just turned 21 in October. So there are literally rookies who are older than he is still.
Yeah, aggressively young. I have a question on the recent performance. It's basically what will you do in this situation? Like I said, Vujovic out for till February, I think.
Yes, sir. Mid-February is supposed to come back now, which is long.
Bismack Biyombo has been averaging, one of my favorite players to say his name, Bismack Biyombo, has been averaging 31 minutes a game.
I love this is just a tangent, and I don't want to say it because it's funny. I love it when they put the huge emphasis on the "by." Like if you listen to a game and they're like Bismack Biyombo, like it's like some name that no one can say, and I'm like, I don't know why there's such emphasis on it. Like just calm it down.
Yeah, you got to make the emphasis on Bismack. That's the cool part. I don't understand. But in these last few games, averaging 31 minutes per game, right around 10 points, 13 rebounds, 3.3 blocks, shooting 51%, 80% from the line. When Bismack was really the only guy playing well in Toronto a few years back. Or was that just last year? That was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
He played for the Magic last year, my friend.
You were right. It was a lost season. I disowned Bismack Biyombo last season after how terrible he turned out to be. But there are no other centers to play on this Orlando team. And Bismack here, a very good source of blocks and rebounds when he plays. And like I said, in Toronto, he was playing 30 plus minutes a game. He was an elite rebounder and an elite blocker as well. So are we seeing just the opportunity there to be that type of player, or just small sample size theater?
Oh, I think it's safe to say he's a must-own in a head-to-head league. I mean, you look at the last 2 years, he's averaged right around 22 minutes a game. He's gotten you 8 rebounds a game and 7 rebounds a game. So if you figure he's going to play 30 minutes now, you're pushing pretty close to 10 rebounds a game. In those 2 seasons, he's averaged 1.6 and 1.3 blocks per, or 1.1 blocks per game. So, I mean, that's a pretty healthy dose right there. And that makes him ownable in a standard league right there. Now, obviously, it's got to be head-to-head because he's going to shoot a bad free throw percentage.
Yeah. And 8% is not real.
Yeah, so in a roto league, I mean, I'm probably comfortable leaving him on the wire just in the sense that he's going to tank your free throw percentage. But in head-to-head, especially if you're already punting, you got a Andre Drummond, you've got a DeAndre Jordan. Yeah, man, add him.
Yeah, it's hard to make the argument that someone who can average, especially something like rebounds, like 12, 13 rebounds a game, to leave that guy on the wire, considering rebounds are a pretty rare stat now that we have kind of reduced the traditional center role so far in the league this year.
And here's what I think it's safe to say. I think it's safe to say that probably till Vucevic comes back, he's probably going to average somewhere over 10 rebounds, probably somewhere in the vicinity of 10 points, and probably about 2 blocks a game.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good to me. I mean, those points aren't great, but it's not like some of these rebound and block specialists, like a Tyson Chandler, for example, who gets you like 6 points a game, right? Like he's going to be pretty close to 10, if not over 10.
Also, yeah, his free throw percentage is pretty bad, but he's not going to shoot a Dwight Howard volume level of free throws.
No, you got to worry about some team hacking him a bunch.
Sure.
Which obviously any one game in a roto league can tank you pretty hard if he's like 4 out of 15. Not to say that that'll happen, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, if you're already punting free throws, who cares?
Right.
I'll go throw a few names out there. Would you rather, for the next couple weeks, next 2-3 weeks, would you rather have Bismack Biyombo or Taj Gibson?
Bismack Biyombo.
Ooh. I actually think I'm going to go with Taj Gibson on this one. I know we just talked about Bismack's elite rebounds, but Taj Gibson is shooting an incredibly high percentage this year. His free throws, while not good, aren't going to be as bad as Bismack Biyombo's. Is going to score more. Is going to be a little bit more rounded of a player, I think, when it comes to overall. But if you're punting, percentages, then I'd go with Bismack Biyombo. But in a roto league, I think I would go with Taj Gibson over Bismack.
Oh, definitely. The blocks are really, in the head-to-head, is really what separates it. I mean, Taj Gibson averaging 0.7 a game this year. Yeah. Bismack Biyombo probably going to be close to 2. I mean, that's just a huge, huge gap.
Ooh, here's another one. Bismack, the Bismack Biyombo, or a allegedly healthy Brook Lopez.
Give me Bismack, man. They just don't want to play. They just don't want to play Brook Lopez at all.
I just want to take this opportunity to tell everybody Brook Lopez is probably having the hardest fall. Like his value in his career has probably never been lower.
Well, and
which is a good time to buy, by the way, everybody.
I still think he's probably the best player on that team. And he's averaging in December. Now, granted, it was only 7 games. He averaged 19.9 minutes a game. He averaged 23 minutes a game in November. Like, why is Brook Lopez not playing more minutes than that? It doesn't make any sense.
It makes zero sense. And I don't even – I'm not even going to attempt to assume that, once he comes back, they're going to play him more minutes. Why would that happen?
Well, here's the thing. Where do they find the minutes, right? Like, Kuzma's broken out now. So Now injuries, but we even saw an injury and it still didn't happen. Kuzma's kind of broken out now. Larry Nance plays kind of both positions there. Brook Lopez only plays center, and Julius Randle only plays center, and they have Andrew Bogut. So they try to throw Bogut out there a little bit, and it's like there's just no time for Brook Lopez and Julius Randle, who they want to give Randle minutes too. So it's like it's not going to get any better, people. It's just not.
No, I think you just got to give up on the Brook Lopez dreams, which if you're having Brook Lopez dreams, you might want to call your doctor. That doesn't sound healthy at all.
And Brook Lopez, you think they should move him, right? They should trade him away. But they've sucked all his value out of there. Like, if you're another team and you know, okay, you're not really playing this guy. This is the last year of his contract. Like, what are you really willing to give up to get Brook Lopez? Like, probably not a whole lot.
No, he's an expiring contract, right? Like, so there's that, but so what? You know, like, meh.
If you're a team like competing for the playoffs, I'm not giving up a mid first round pick for Brook Lopez at this point.
Absolutely not.
So, like, maybe, you know,
you turn to another bad team is about the best opportunity.
That's what I mean. Like, there's no good way this goes. So I think they're just stuck with Brook Lopez for the season, and it's bad for both parties.
Ugh, poor Brook Lopez. Like, never really had an issue with him, but surprisingly, just like the Gasol brothers, the younger brother. Now is Robin the younger brother of the Lopez brothers?
Ooh, that's a good question. Are they twins?
I think they're twins, but who was born first? Someone had to be born first.
They are twins. I do not know which was born first and which was born second. I am not well versed on my Lopez birth times.
Yeah, if anyone knows that if Robin Lopez was born first or Brook Lopez, please tweet at us. Or if you are Robin or Brook Lopez listening to this podcast, which I assume one of you are, feel free to tweet at us. You can tweet at me at Watching the Boxes or at Tyler at Dwatsy4444. I am not finding anything about who was born first. So we will see. But like I said, Robin Lopez, one of my favorite personalities in the league. You can make the argument. I don't think it's hard to make the argument Robin Lopez is the better basketball player now.
Definitely for fantasy, he's the better one this year.
Yeah, I think he's the better NBA player this year, all things considered. But it could just be the Lakers quagmire that Brook Lopez happens to be in.
It's all possible.
All right. Is there any other players that we probably need to get to? I'm sure there's a ton. I mean, but is there anyone you wanted to talk about?
Oh man. You know this is never good for you, Mike. You do this all the time, and it never works out.
It never works out. You always pick a player
works out for you.
I haven't thought about in 2 to 3 weeks, and then I'm like, oh God, what has he even been doing? Don't say Miles Turner.
Oh, and out for Greg Monroe. This is the question I'll ask. It doesn't look like he's getting minutes. It doesn't look like he's getting traded.
Hold up. You just broke up, so start over. Sorry.
We good? Can you hear me now?
Yep. So go ahead and start over.
All right. So should we pour one out for Greg Monroe? It doesn't look like he's going to play.
Oh. Greg Monroe, you're going to do it to me? You're going to go after third leg, Greg?
Third leg. And here's the thing. I keep hearing everyone say, oh, they're going to trade him. How long did the Bucks try to trade him?
3 years? I don't even think it was on the Bucks for 3 years. They tried to trade him for 3 years. I mean, how long did Detroit try to trade him?
Yes, I mean, who's buying Greg? Who's buying a Greg?
You know, I know a team who needs to start losing more games, and they have some assets to sell. So, but Phoenix isn't. But that's the thing. What's Phoenix going to move? Is Phoenix going to move Greg Monroe for some wily veterans to make the playoffs? No. Is anyone going to give up anything other than expiring contracts for Greg Monroe? No one's giving up a draft pick, like a good draft pick.
That's what I mean. Like a contender might give like the 60th overall pick.
Yeah, you might get, I guess a team that loses their backup center to give up their second round draft pick.
But that's what I mean. Like, okay, Greg's great for fantasy because he produces some rebounds and some points. But like, are the Warriors buying Greg Monroe? Like, no, he doesn't really provide a defensive presence off the bench. And isn't that what you want in a backup center? Like, you don't really want some guy who's going to go out there and give you 30 points. You don't see Enes Kanter on too many championship-winning teams. No offense to Enes Kanter. He's great
for what he is.
You know what I mean? But most people, especially as a backup center, they want a defensive guy who can come in and shut someone down if they need to. I wouldn't say that's Greg Monroe.
Yeah, a lot of teams don't need high volume, low post center / forward to come off the bench. You want your scorers to come off the bench to be Isaiah Thomas. That's who you want you to be to come in, blow up the second team, just drop 20 in 2 quarters and make everyone look embarrassed. That's who your second team scorer is, because while you can hide a guy. Let's say like Seth Curry. That guy can get hot, right? Is he one of the better defenders in the league? No, he's not. Sorry, Seth Curry. But I know you listen to the show, so but you can come in and be incredibly valuable on that second team. When Greg Monroe comes in and drops 20 in 2 quarters, he also gives up 17 on the other end because he isn't defending anyone under the basket. So it's just not a net positive. Why you can hide someone like Seth Curry on a non-shooting wing or guard.
Yeah, Lou Williams. I mean, he dropped 40 the other night. I mean, we see it all the time.
Man. Yeah, Lou Williams is the perfect example. That's exactly who you want your 6th man to be.
Right, but you don't want it to be Greg Monroe. So if you're owning Greg, especially if you're in some sort of 10 or 12 team league, just cut Greg, man. He's not going to have the value.
Just drop him. Just drop him.
Now, in a deeper league, even still, like, I don't really see the Suns moving Greg Monroe. And if they do, I don't really see him getting the minutes. So it's going to be really hard for me to tell you should own Greg Monroe, unless the waiver wire just has nothing but other upside not playing guys, and then maybe.
To me, that's a real tough one, because in a deeper league, like 15 games out of Greg Monroe is like 30 games out of, I can't even think of some trashy player at the bottom of a league, like 30 games out of Channing Frye.
Okay, yeah.
30 games out of Sean Napier.
But that's what I mean. Is there somebody?
Shabazz Napier. Sean Napier. Who's Sean Napier?
He's made up a player. But is there somebody like? Let me think about this for a second. Let's see here. Someone who's a backup, let's say point guard or shooting guard, who Ish Smith is the perfect example 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Good, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Ish Smith is available, but he wasn't owned in hardly any leagues before Reggie Jackson got hurt. Then Reggie Jackson goes down. Now Ish Smith's got some serious value. I think I'd much rather own that type of guy than a Greg Monroe at this point.
Yeah, because that's a hey, he's still going to play like 20 minutes a night. And of course I talk shit about Shabazz Napier, and he's actually been playing really well lately. But like I said, once Damian Lillard comes back,
they're dead tonight, so you're safe.
He's going to be dead. But yeah, that's a good point. Shabazz Napier, Greg Monroe, that's a tough choice. I think I'd still rather have Greg Monroe. But like you're saying, the backup point guard is going to play 20 minutes a night, 21 minutes a night anyway. And then the injury happens, and now he's the starting point guard. Like, if you took a gamble on Spencer Dinwiddie, now he's the starting guard. He's having a great fantasy season.
Yeah, TJ McConnell. I mean, there's another guy. Like, he's producing a little bit when he plays. And if Ben Simmons goes out, he's a heck of a lot more valuable than Greg Monroe not playing any minutes ever.
Exactly. And I think it's exactly the type of person you'd rather have than Greg Monroe. I think you're 100% on that.
Yeah, and so that's all I'm saying is if you got Greg, especially in a shallow league, get rid of him. Even in a deeper league, if there's a backup point guard out there that you're going, you know what? He plays 20 minutes a night, and if this player got hurt, he'd probably have some good value. I think I'd rather go there too.
Oof. Man, you took a chance on Greg Monroe. You probably got a couple good games out of him. Probably pissed you off a few weeks. Hey, that's what you got to take your chances out there when you got to take some risks. You got to take some chances on the waiver wire. And it's a pretty good chance to take, and I'm okay with having to take that chance. I had Greg Monroe in quite a few leagues, and I've dropped him in quite a few leagues too.
I'll throw another one out there, kind of a similar player, Jahlil Okafor.
Ooh,
just get rid of him. It's not happening. It's just not happening.
I have one more, maybe kind of not the same, but a little similar. Our old boy, John Collins. Someone we said, hey, grab a hold on to. Got a lot of potential there. Kind of hitting a little bit of a rookie wall, only playing 20-some minutes each night, still not starting. Getting into foul trouble every once in a while, but you're still seeing some good blocks out of him, some good rebounds out of him. I'm not willing to in a bigger league to get rid of John Collins.
Honestly, I think John Collins is a guy you buy right now, or you add in a 12 or 14 team league if he's on the waiver wire, in the sense that I didn't expect John Collins to have his top value until 2018. In the sense that this team isn't going to win anything. So why keep running out Ersan Ilyasova and Dwayne Dedman when he gets healthy as we get down the stretch here? Mike Muscala, like, they know they got Mike Muscala. He's been on the team for how many years? Miles Plumlee, like,
I think they actually forgot Mike Muscala back when they took a flight out of Miami. I don't think Mike Muscala has been seen in weeks.
But they have the absolute worst record in the NBA as of right now. They have 10 wins. Every other team has at least 11. So I think, as they get to the trade deadline, they're going to try to move some of these veterans maybe. I don't know how many of them have any great value. Maybe they don't get much for any of them, but that's okay. That happens. And I think John Collins starts playing more and more. So John Collins is probably not a terrible guy to buy at this point.
I like your theory on the fact that he's going to play more and more, because he definitely is. There's just no reason for them to go in any other direction other than giving this kid some minutes, some time to figure out how the NBA works, and to, like I said, like, the percentages look good overall for a center. I don't know if he'll ever develop a 3-point game. I doubt it, but I don't think it's unheard of. And the rebounds and blocks per minute are fairly impressive.
And I wrote this about Scalabissiere a couple weeks ago, and it finally worked out tonight. He actually had a big game where he had 15 rebounds and 17 points. Like, teams like the Kings need to realize now, like, okay, Sacramento, you're not making the playoffs. Like, you tried, you're out. Why are you?
I wouldn't even go so far to say they tried, but I'm with you. I'm following you.
Well, I mean, you played the games.
You showed up. You got on the bus and showed up, but that's really all you can ask for.
I mean, we won't make this a big conversation about Jaeger and the stupid stuff he does, because I mean that'll just take us down a whole other rabbit hole, and I could talk about
here for a while.
I could talk about that for hours. But my point is, why are you not playing Scalabissiere starters minutes? Number one, I still think you don't really know what you have in Scalabissiere. He's only 21 years old, turns 22 in March. He's got a lot of intangibles, a lot of things that you look at in brief stretches and you go, damn, that's impressive. Man, that's good, man. You can shoot some threes. You can do this. You can rebound the ball pretty well. But then they're giving minutes to a 36-year-old Zach Randolph, like giving him 30 minutes a game. And I get it. Yeager and Randolph are buddies from 10 years ago and whatever.
Randolph's killing it.
He's playing really well. But is that helping your team in the long term? You're not playing for this year anymore because you stink and you're not making the playoffs. So why not look at a long-term view here? Like, you got to have some sort of overall direction as a team. And, okay, maybe we can beat the Hornets tonight. They lost by 20, by the way.
But, that's terrible.
But you know what I mean? They only have 2 games this week. They play again on Saturday. Like, okay, you can play Zach Randolph 32 minutes and maybe beat whoever it is they play. That doesn't matter. But is that helping you? No, that's not helping you. Like, you accomplished one little short-term goal, but it didn't do anything as far as the rest of your.
I mean, that you got to assume the front office is saying, win now, go to the playoffs now. We paid all this money on these guys.
No, here's what he said.
The front office isn't saying this?
This is what Yeager said. Okay. And this is a pretty direct quote. You guys could probably look it up. The Sacramento Bee reported it about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. He said, along the lines of when he called up Scalabissiere back from the G League, he said something about, they told me I'm supposed to play in minutes, but I do what's best for the guys.
The hell does that mean?
And I'm like, what guys?
Yeah.
Who are the guys? I don't know these guys.
Can you drinking buddies? Like, who? Yeah.
So I don't know if he's got Zach Randolph on his fantasy team or what the hell.
Yeah, that could be it.
Sometimes he don't make no sense. But it's like he almost says like he's smarter than everybody else. And I've gone on for this for years about how he screws the team, I think, by playing these crazy rotations where one night Scalabissiere plays 9 minutes and then the next night he plays 12 minutes and then he doesn't play for 2 games. Then he plays 20 minutes and then he plays 8 minutes. It's like the kid never even knows when he's going to go in, if he's going to play, if he's not going to play. Like, that's got to be messing with his confidence, right? Like, to say, oh, you're good enough to play, and then be like, oh, you're not good enough to play, now you are. Like, okay, maybe he's going to struggle in a matchup, but let him struggle. Like, he's got to realize that he's got to improve. Like,
let him be bad, because like you got to know what you got there, right? And sometimes you see some really good flashes from him, and other nights you see some duds, and he's not going to figure it out playing in the G League.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And he's gone down there a couple times this year, and he's ripped it up. I mean, he's like had some huge games.
You know, let's not get ahead of ourselves, because Cristiano Felicio has ripped up the G League as well. So,
but that's my point. That's exactly your point. Is that's not really. I mean, okay, maybe it boosts your confidence a little bit. Like, yeah, I kicked ass, but I mean, that's not really helping you get used to playing these NBA talents. And I mean, Sacramento's got a lot of those guys. I mean, like Vince Carter. Vince Carter still plays a lot of nights, and it's like, okay, Vince, like it's still cool that you're awesome at 40, but like, you're not helping us, bro. I mean, I'm sorry.
I will say that throwback Vince Carter night the other night was a joy to watch.
Against Cleveland when they beat LeBron, that was a fun game.
Anytime I can see, well, especially against LeBron, but anytime you get a Vince Carter throwback, I mean, it's a joy. It's an absolute joy. The guy's doing it at 40.
Dude, it's amazing that he can still play as well as he can at 40 years old. I'll give him props for that.
0 cents. What I'm saying there, but first ballot Hall of Fame, Vince Carter, great fucking dude. Like, respect. Any other fringe? I guess Greg Monroe wasn't a fringe guy, but some guy we do talk about quite a bit on the show. Anyone else you got before we go?
I'll get your thoughts on this. So Jeff T got hurt.
I've heard.
They said 2 to 4 weeks, but I mean, we talked a little bit about that. That could be a baloney, because that did not look good.
Yeah, that looked like a Steph Curry. Yeah, Steph Curry just rolled his ankle, no worries, nothing wrong, and now Steph Curry just came back. Like, that's going to take a while.
Right?
And that was just an ankle. Like, this is a knee. That looked even worse.
So Tyus Jones has kind of been the trendy pickup. But I'll throw out there that Old Jamal Crawford, 37, still kicking in the league. He's going to get more of that 6-man type role that he's used to playing. He's going to get a few more minutes than he's been playing, and I think he can probably, in a deeper league, probably score you like 10 to 12 points a game. He's not going to give you a ton else, maybe a couple assists, some 3-pointers. He might be able to help you while Jeff Teague is out, just in the sense that he's going to get a little more play time.
That smells a lot like a Tibbs insight more than a Jamal Crawford insight, because as we all know, Tibbs, and as you saw with the fact that Chris Dunn does actually look like a, at least fantasy-wise, like you were saying, an NBA player, but hey, the guy can defend too. Like he's a pretty good defender in the NBA right now.
The problem with him is not the defense; it's the trash offense, man. And that's gonna hurt.
Let's say, Tyler, it doesn't sound like you've been watching the Bulls on this 10-2 run, because while Dunn still just kind of completely forgets how to play basketball every once in a while, he has looked a ton better than he did when he was like literally the Shaq and the Fool every single night for the first couple of weeks of the season.
What worries me about a player like him, and I said the same thing about Lonzo Ball at the beginning of the season, bad free throw shooter. That always worries me about is all his shooting in general, 3-point shooting and field goal percentage. If you can't shoot free throws as a guard, you're normally not a very good shooter. And that creates problems unless you're a really, really good passer or a really, really big guy like Ben Simmons who can get to the rim very easily. So that's kind of my worry on Chris Dunn. But yeah.
And Tyus Jones as well, like he's getting the minutes right, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's had some impressive steal numbers in those 3 starts. That's worth looking at for head-to-head leagues. Steals are hard to come by. He's averaging a little over 5 assists a game in those 3 games. Small sample size. But the dude isn't going to score a ton, isn't going to shoot a ton. So if you're looking for more of those stats, Jamal Crawford, we'll see. I like the idea. It's just like I said, it smells like Tibbs to go after the old vet and play him way too many minutes versus letting a younger guy get any.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the NBA might have passed Tibbs by a little bit, but we'll discuss that at another time.
Yeah, that's a whole 20-episode segment, so we'll have to save that for next time or sometime in the off season, because like I said, that we could talk about that all day long. I think that is it. Tyler, do you have anything to plug?
No, I've been writing my weekly schedule piece on #basketball. So I mean, you can usually find that late Saturday night or Sunday during the day. It didn't get posted a little bit later this week. That was kind of a holiday mess, but that's okay. It got out there, so hopefully everyone's been enjoying that. And as far as that goes, I don't got much else.
It was New Year's, you got Christmas, New Year's. Come on, everybody, give Tyler a break. Those weekly articles do not write themselves. They are a long. There's a long process into writing weekly articles, as I used to know before I got out of the weekly article game, because it's a slog. But those articles are incredibly valuable to all the head-to-head players out there. I use them in my head-to-head matchups. Whether Tyler likes it or not, I use them against even him in our listener league.
And I'll say this too. I don't ever want to do it too early, because there's always a few players who we're kind of waiting on injuries with. Damian Lillard was a good example this week, right? Like they said, we're going to update the status on Sunday. And so I was kind of waiting to hear what they said, because if they said he's out for the week, then that's going to make someone like Shabazz Napier a lot more valuable. So it's kind of a double-edged sword of I want to get it out there early enough so everyone can enjoy it, but then I got to kind of wait for the news of the day.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, go check that out. That's on #basketball.com. It is up there every week, written by Tyler. I have nothing to do with it, so you can tell that the information is actually really good and not just random rants about Chicago Bulls. You can also find Tyler on Twitter at Watsy4444 or me at Watch the Boxes. Feel free to tweet at us with your feedback for the show, segments you want to hear, anything that you want us to focus on more, Roto, Dynasty, Keepers, rest of the year, rankings, all that stuff. If you want to hear it, feel free to tweet at us, and we will put it on the show. We're crowd pleasers here on Watching the Boxes. And if you do like the show, please do us a huge favor. Go to wherever you are listening to this podcast, whatever site it is, whatever app it is, rate, review us. It really helps other people find the show. Or tell a friend, tell a neighbor. I assume everybody over the break went and stole their family's phones, downloaded, subscribed to the show, gave the phones back because it was Christmas. Don't steal people's phones on Christmas. That's messed up. And anything you do, get the name out for the show. We appreciate that a ton because we do this for you guys. And I think that's it for tonight. We will see you guys next time. Thanks, everybody.